This conference will now be recorded.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Bocce webinar. We hope that this webinar is informative and will help you get prepared for the upcoming Bocce season. A few reminders before we get started here today. This is not a training. If you need initial certification for your coaches, they must attend a training school. Or if you or your coaches need to be recertified in Bocce, a link to an online recertification test can be found on the Bocce webpage. If you have any questions or comments following the webinar, please email them to sports@sonc.net, and we will address those in a follow-up. So who's on the call today? We have myself. My name is Nathan Brookins, and I'm the sport director for the East at SONC. And we have Abby Williams, and she is our sport administration manager here at SONC. They're not able to join us today, but they are on the sport development team. We have Scott Boucher from Southern Pines, Betty Lewis from Concord, Rich Evans from Greensboro, Deb Pottenberg, who is actually now in Florida, Lisa Reynolds in Asheville, Addie Carmen in Tarboro, and Charlotte Webb in Tarboro as well. So for the new folks, these sport development team members are vital in the management and development and the growth of Bocce here in North Carolina. They serve as our sport experts and are great resources for us as well as you, the coaches. They accomplish much more than just a coach's training school, even though that is a very important part of their role. So now that we've gotten the introductions out of the way, I'm going to let Abby talk through some of the updates.
Welcome, everyone. We are excited to bring these updates directly to you, the coaches. We, as sport development team members, are here for you if you have any questions after this webinar. Where to find stuff. Before we get started, please note that all sport documents we will reference, coaching guides, rule modifications, are available on the SONC website. Just go to www.sonc.net, click on Sports and Competitions, then scroll down and click on Bocce from the drop-down menu to get that sport page. Here you will find information on events, training schools, recertification tests, rules, and more. SOI rule updates. SOI has not made any rule changes for Bocce this year. However, some rules have been clarified, and it is very important that all coaches review the rules and SONC modifications. These rules will be in effect for this season, and coaches should have their athletes training according to these new rules. The team possessing the Polina will have 3 attempts to place the Polina past the 30-foot mark and before the 50-foot mark. If these 3 attempts are unsuccessful, the opposing team will have 1 opportunity to place the Polina. If this attempt is unsuccessful, the referee will then place the Polina in the center of the court at the 40-foot mark. At no point is it allowed for an athlete's foot or apparatus to come in contact with the foul line after the ball is released and touches any part of the court in front of the specific foul line. Competition offered. In North Carolina, we offer singles, doubles, 4-person team, unified doubles, and unified 4-person team competition. Athletes and unified partners may only compete in one type of competition at state-level events. Reminders. Along with the SOI, we have a few reminders. The main thing we would like to address is athlete and partner attire for competition. Those competing should be outfitted with a collared shirt, closed-toed shoes, and comfortable pants, athletic in nature. This means that jeans of any color will not be permitted. Any athlete or partner found to be in violation of proper attire rules will only be permitted to play for a participation ribbon. In the event that a member of a doubles team is not properly uniformed, it will affect the entire team, and all members will compete only for a participation ribbon. It is very important that you coaches ensure your athletes are prepared for competition. This is different from previous years, so make sure your athletes and partners are prepared. Ramp Bocce. We realize that many athletes that enjoy the game of Bocce may not be able to roll the ball down a full court by themselves. Mecklenburg County has modified Bocce to include Ramp Bocce. Please contact sports@sonc.net for more information. All these modifications are in the SONC Bocce Rule Modifications document found on the Bocce webpage.
Our state-level event, which is Fall Tournament for Bocce, is one of 6 sports at Fall Tournament. Competition will occur over 3 days in Charlotte. The Bocce competition schedule will remain the same for Fall Tournament 2018. First round of divisioning will be done on Friday. Measures will be taken by the Bocce officials. Saturday will be a full day of play, and middle round competition will be done on Sunday. Local programs are also encouraged to host scrimmages and invitationals to prepare athletes for state-level competition. Registration forms and deadlines for fall tournament are listed on the Bocce sport page and state-level event registration page. And this year, there will be a venue change for fall tournament 2018. Competition will be held at Chestnut Square Park and Indian Trail. Local programs are requested to take athletes to a state-level event in a process called quota. Coordinators submit the number of athletes or teams they would like to take in sports, and then we collect that data and analyze to determine the number of athletes that will be allowed to attend the state-level event. It is very important to note and emphasize to all athletes, unified partners, parents, and caregivers that attendance at fall tournament is not guaranteed and that there is a potential that not everyone will be able to attend. Build support from your athletes and family members that either athletes attend on a rotating basis, or names are drawn from a hat that has the team in there. Competition opportunity types. Providing athletes with a competition opportunity does not have to be a daunting task. There are three main types of competition we would like to encourage you as coaches and coordinators to offer to your athletes. A scrimmage. Scrimmage is a small gathering of one or two programs that get together one time and have a chance to compete against another team or athletes from another program. In a scrimmage, proper divisioning and awards are not necessary. The goal is just to compete alongside another team for fun and to have a break from the regular routine of practice. This is most easily done in conjunction with one team or program practice time, so very little extra effort is needed by either team. The next is a league play. League play is a much more established scrimmage schedule with multiple counties or teams. This type of competition works best for team sports, but it can also work for bocce. Coaches from other programs establish a rotation schedule that works for all teams, where each team travels to the other team at least once through the season. So think of it as a round-robin tournament. If you have 4 teams in there, 1 week New Hanover travels to Brunswick travels to Onslow travels to New Hanover, and then once everybody has played each other, an end-of-season playoff is encouraged, but not required, and neither are awards. So we highly, highly suggest that league play be started. It's a great chance to get involved with other programs and to allow your athletes to compete against others. Last is an invitational. This looks more like a traditional tournament, and it can be a one-time event or annual event where there's multiple programs, there are awards, and proper divisioning and officials are present. It still does not need to be huge, however. It doesn't need to be at a fall tournament level. We highly encourage local programs to host any of these competitions, and please let us know if we can help in the planning process by emailing us at sports@sonc.net. Next, I'm going to turn it back over to Abby.
Certified coach levels and requirements. The following are the coaching levels for Special Olympics North Carolina. A sport assistant is a volunteer that helps on a regular basis with your team, but maybe isn't a specific sport coach or just hasn't taken the training yet. Instead of a chaperone, they will be designated as a sport assistant for state-level events. Required training and paperwork for a sport assistant is volunteer screening form, with successful background check, general orientation to Special Olympics North Carolina, concussion training, updated every 3 years, and protected behaviors training updated every 3 years. A Level 1 coach has the requirements of a sport assistant, as well as completing a sport-specific training school and 10 practicum hours working with athletes. Sport certification must be updated every 3 years. A Level 2 coach has the requirements of a Level 1 coach, as well as completing the Coaching Special Olympics Athletes course, as well as sportsmanship training. These trainings are considered complete when finished and do not have a renewal requirement. A Level 3 coach has the requirements of a Level 2 coach, as well as completing CPR first aid certification, principles of coaching, and an additional national governing body sport-specific training. For bocce, that would be covered by the USTAF. Principles of coaching does not have a renewal requirement, but a coach must be current on CPR first aid and NGV course to maintain Level 3 certification. Please send all certifications of completion for these courses to sports@sonc.net so they can be added to your coach certification record.
Training schools. We will continue with our training school model that we enrolled in the 2017-2018 program year. There will be 3 training schools offered per sports season in varying locations. One training will be located in the western part of the state, one in the eastern, and one in a more central location. We will be offering both fall and spring sports training at each training school for both seasons. The structure of the training schools is as follows. The morning session will be in-season sports offered. So in the fall time, bocce will be a morning session sport. That will take place from 8:30 to 11:30. Afternoon will be off-season sports offered from noon to 3, and that is a sport such as athletics if it is a fall training school. Also, we will continue to offer coaching Special Olympic athletes in person during both of these sessions at each training school. This training will count in place of the online CSOA course, and we highly encourage that new and returning coaches take this in-person course. In addition to changing the structure, there is another bonus for coaches. Coaches are now able to receive 2 certifications in one training school. They may elect to take a morning session training and afternoon session training if they would like. This makes it easier and quicker for coaches to receive certifications in multiple sports. Registration must be done by the local coordinator online. More information about training schools with dates and locations can be found on the SONC website.
Team management reminders. It is increasingly important for all of us to remind ourselves of sportsmanship. We all represent Special Olympics at practices, events, and on the field of play. You as coaches are role models for your athletes, so we expect exemplary sportsmanship from all of you. Additionally, there are so many athletes who are capable of taking on a leadership role in their sport. Although we encourage them to become coaches, we have found that most want to continue competing. Serving as a team captain is a great way to be a leader while still competing. And who better to get this message of sportsmanship out across the movement than the athletes themselves? SONC encourages each local program to designate a team captain for each sport. There is a team captain job description on the Sports and Competition Overview webpage. 2 easy ways to get them involved is to have them attend the coaches meeting with your head coach and to put them in charge of hydrating the team. You are a busy person and cannot run the team on your own, no matter how much you may try. While we encourage all personnel to go through sport-specific training, you can still use non-certified volunteers to help. Utilize volunteers or parents to help with fundraising for new uniforms, keep track of athlete participation forms, and/or arrange end-of-season party. Just remember that anyone that helps out on a regular basis with your delegation must have a volunteer screening form on file with SONC, as well as take the protective behaviors training. Additionally, when you sit down and plan your practices, identify at least 2 skills or drills that you can hand over to a volunteer. This could be an assistant coach, a student, or someone who has expressed interest in helping out with your sport and is very knowledgeable about the sport, but cannot commit long-term and/or travel with your team. Give them tools that they need in order to manage those drills and let them run with those elements in your practice. Core strength and physical fitness transfers to a better overall experience for your athlete, no matter the sport, so volunteer can be fitness coaches and can work with the athletes on their conditioning. Please utilize your support. This will help make sure you are effective in utilizing the athlete's time as well as involving other people in the movement. If you are having trouble deciding what to do at practice, Special Olympics has assembled a comprehensive training guide, including videos, all linked on the sport webpage. These include sample practice schedules, drills, skill progressions, and more.
Lastly, we go over a few reminders. We want to go over a few key points regarding dates and registration forms, so you as coaches are able to keep track of your athletes' information and also help out your local coordinators. So just a reminder that everything for bocce is located on the bocce webpage on the SONC website. We also keep a separate calendar here for bocce that shows all the local competitions. If you are going to put on a local competition, we would love to know and to highlight that on the calendar. Remember, all paperwork must be submitted to the SONC headquarter office in Morrisville by the local coordinator. This is so we can keep track of things as they come into the office, because as you can imagine, we see a lot of paperwork. Since you are training your athletes, you should be able to make sure that their paperwork is filled out correctly with the right events and levels. Additionally, you should know who they are. You don't know how many times that we get paperwork sent in that has the wrong name because someone didn't know Susie's last name or that Sharon was really Shannon. So help out your coordinator by keeping track of your athletes and their participation forms, and remember that those must be renewed every 3 years. SONC will continue to collect training rosters at the start of the training season, and we do this to help us to gather information for better reporting, to better understand activity in bocce, and to better prepare for fall tournament. Training rosters must be submitted to your local coordinators, and they will be submitting that to SONC. For more detailed registration timeline, you can go to the state level registration form page listed on the screen. Remember that your coordinator will need information by certain dates, so please check with them to make sure you are getting them the information they need in a timely manner, because they may have other sport registration forms that they are also gathering. And as a coach, it is very, very important to make sure you report everyone on your training roster that is training with your program. Those that are not on the training roster will not be able to register for fall tournament. Also, make sure you and your coaching team are up to date and current on protected behaviors, your certification, and all other certifications for other sports. We have a list available on the SONC Coach webpage. If you go to the home page and you click on Become a Coach at the top of the screen, and then select Coach's Education, you can then select Check Your Certification Status, scroll down, and find yourself on the list. This list only shows people that have gone through a sport training, so if someone has completed one or other non-sport trainings, they probably will not be on that list. So on behalf of Special Olympics North Carolina, and on behalf of the Bocce Sport Development Team, we thank you for attending this webinar. If we can be of any assistance, just contact one of us. You can also send any general inquiries to sports@sonc.net. Thank you again for your dedication to the athletes of Special Olympics North Carolina.